Stop right now and hit subscribe. If you believe that money and power can buy happiness, this story will force you to question everything. Before you see the ultimate cosmic bill our protagonist has to pay, I need your help. Subscribe to the channel right now and like this video. And tell me in the comments, have you ever run away from an important decision, only to regret it for years? Your honesty is the fuel for this narrative, the obstacle and the path home. Julian Thorne's second act. The cold choice and the abrupt goodbye. He said she was holding him back, so he left. 2 years later, he saw his obstacle in a Santa Fe park, raising their daughter alone, Julian. Jules Thorne had built his life with the precision of a surgeon and the relentless ambition of a man who decided nothing would stand in his way. His calendar was dictated by mergers, private flights, and the unforgiving schedule of Manhattan finance. To him, emotions were messy, unpredictable. That's why, when he met Elena Reyes, he expected nothing more than a few months' distraction. She was calm, genuine, with dark hair that fell in soft waves and green eyes that seemed to look directly into his soul. Their connection surprised him, and he stayed longer than planned. But he always knew his limit: permanence. And so, one afternoon, when Elena sat across from him, her eyes soft but firm, and uttered the words he never wanted to hear, "I'm pregnant," Julian didn't hesitate. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Julian leaned back in his designer chair, crossed his arms, and exhaled sharply. His face was unreadable, the mask he had mastered in countless boardrooms. "You're in the way of my objectives," he said quietly, as if simply stating a simple fact. Not with cruelty, but with the conviction of someone who had already chosen his path. Elena stared at him. "What did you say?" He stood up, collected his phone and keys, and looked at her one last time. "I'm not ready to give up everything I've built. I told you from the start, Elena. I'm not built for family life. I have a firm to run, a vision. You knew who I was." She didn't cry. Her heart broke, but her pride held firm. "Then I guess this is where the road ends," she said. He didn't reply. He walked out of the apartment, already mentally rehearsing his pitch for the next morning's investors. 02, the death of a promise. Elena's solitude. Elena was left alone. The man she had trusted saw her pregnancy as a roadblock on his calendar. She told herself he would panic, that he would call, but she only heard the refrigerator hum, the clock tick, and the terrible quiet of realizing she was truly alone. In the following days, Julian never called. No emails, no apologies. Elena focused on prenatal appointments and moving out. She didn't tell anyone what he had said. It was too shameful. She only said, "It didn't work out." But at night, those words echoed, sharper than ever. "You're in the way of my objectives." Yet, she refused to let them define her. If he saw his child as an obstacle, she would see her as a miracle. She would become everything he chose not to be. She packed her life without ceremony and got a job at a small pediatric clinic in the quieter, artistic city of Santa Fe, New Mexico, far from the noise of New York. Her new studio was small and austere, but it was hers. The pregnancy was lonely. She learned to breathe through the tears. The day she gave birth, she walked into the hospital alone with a backpack. The moment they placed her daughter on her chest, everything changed. She named the girl Maya. Her deep brown eyes resembled his, yet they were entirely her own. Part 3. The unexpected encounter in Santa Fe. The morning of the Santa Fe Spring Fair began like any other Saturday. Maya, 2 years old, woke up with her usual stretch and asked, "Where are we going today?" Elena smiled. The park, music, balloons, and strawberry ice cream. Just a few yards away, Julian Thorne stepped out of a high-end black SUV. He was in Santa Fe for less than 1 hour, scheduled to speak at a business summit on regional growth. He needed a walk, a break. He wandered the path, coffee in hand, his mind split between investor calls and a vague, persistent, hollow ache that had followed him for longer than he cared to admit. Suddenly, his gaze landed on a little girl. She was near the cotton candy stand, bouncing with joy. Her hair was the color of rich earth, tousled by the breeze. Her dress fluttered, but it wasn't her movement that stopped Julian. It was her eyes, brown, deep, and astonishingly familiar. His eyes, her mother's eyes, eyes he had only ever seen in the mirror. He froze. His heart stopped. All the sound of the park disappeared, leaving only the dull roar of disbelief in his ears. He watched as the girl turned, smiling, and ran into the arms of the woman waiting nearby, Elena. He hadn't seen her in over 2 years. His body reacted before his mind could catch up. It was her hair in a loose braid, with a strength and softness to her face he had never seen before. She held the girl, whispering something that made her laugh. Julian felt a physical blow to his chest. He didn't need anyone to tell him. The truth was clear and immediate. That child was his daughter. 04. The clash of gazes. He didn't know how long he stood there, paralyzed. Then, as if sensing his gaze, Elena turned. Their eyes met. Hers widened in disbelief for only a fraction of a second, but it was enough to confirm everything. Enough to ignite every regret buried under years of ambition. Elena tensed, her arms instinctively tightening around the girl. Julian took a tentative step forward, but Elena's expression instantly changed. She turned, walking quickly in the opposite direction. She didn't run, she didn't shout, but the message was unmistakable. Do not follow me. Julian stood rooted, as the 2 most important people he never expected to see again disappeared into the crowd. His life had just been cut in 2, and for the first time, no financial strategy could tell him what came next. Julian told Elena she was an obstacle to his goals. Now that he's seen Maya, do you think Julian's fear was truly about losing his goals, or about the vulnerability of having to change to be a father? Comment your analysis. OQ5. The Coward and the Necessary Conversation. Julian didn't sleep that night. The image of Maya's eyes tormented him. He had convinced himself that leaving was efficient, that he had saved her from pain. But now, faced with the truth, all he felt was shame. The next morning, he sent Elena a text. I saw you yesterday. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know. Please, can we talk? An hour passed, then another. No reply. That evening, he nearly dropped his phone when her notification popped up. If you want to talk, you will listen. No excuses, no defenses. You sit and you listen. Once. Then we are done. She gave him the name of a small cafe on the outskirts and a time. Sunday at 10:00 a.m. M06. Elena's rules. When Julian arrived, Elena was already seated. He sat across from her. I won't bring her into this, she said. Without preamble. To her, yesterday you were just a stranger in the park, and I plan to keep it that way. I didn't know, he managed to say. I know, Elena said, her voice even. Because you left before you had to know. Because you looked me in the eye and told me I was in your way. And then you left. No call, no question. I was scared, he said. I thought I was doing the right thing. Her eyes sharpened. Don't insult me. You didn't leave to protect me. You left to protect yourself. You ran from the version of you that would have had to change. And then you erased us. You don't get to rewrite the last 2 years with good intentions now. Julian looked down. You're right. I was a coward. At least say it plainly. She nodded slowly. I was a coward, he repeated. And now what? I just want to know her. Not as a stranger. Not as if nothing happened. but I would give anything to be in her life, even just a little bit. Elena looked out the window. When she turned back, she looked tired, but not closed off. She doesn't need your money. She needs consistency. If you're serious, you show up. Not once, not for a week, but over and over. You earn your way back. Julian nodded, emotion tightening his chest. I will, I swear. I will show up. Will you show up when it's hard? She asked. When she's sick, cranky, and doesn't want anything to do with you, I'll be there. If you ever hurt her, Julian, you will never see her again, she said. She likes animal books and is shy around new people. And then she left. He sat there, feeling the weight of her words. This opportunity was a gift he didn't deserve. But for the first time, he felt something more than regret. Purpose. Elena rejected his apologies and his money, demanding consistency. What do you think is harder to rebuild after a betrayal? Trust in the future, or faith in a person's capacity to change? We want your opinion in the comments. One critical moment. Julian's story isn't over. If this journey of redemption is moving you, share this video and subscribe to see if Julian manages to earn the title of Dad and Elena's forgiveness. Tuyet voi. Tôi rất vui vì bạn đã sẵn sàng cho phần tiếp theo. Hành trình chuộc lỗi của Julian sẽ tiếp tục với những thử thách thực tế của việc xây dựng lại niềm tin. The Obstacle and the Path Home. Part 7. The Duel of the Park and the Earned Title. The difficulty of consistency. Attention, crew. Redemption is not negotiated. It's earned step by step. Julian thought facing shareholders was tough, but now he discovers that winning over a 2-year-old requires a humility he never knew. Hit like and subscribe if you believe patience is the key to forgiveness. Julian did not expect it to be this hard. He had led countless negotiations, but nothing prepared him for the weight of showing up at the edge of a park and seeing his daughter, Maya, shyly hide behind Elena's leg upon noticing a stranger. Elena kept her word. She didn't block him, nor did she disappear. But she didn't make it easy either. The rules were strict. He could see Maya twice a week during her playtime, always supervised, and never alone. He was a family friend, nothing more. You'll earn the title if she decides you deserve it, Elena had told him. Her voice was not cruel, but firm. The first visit was painfully awkward. Maya clung to Elena's leg, staring at him in silence. Julian brought her a brightly illustrated animal book, remembering what Elena had said. He knelt, handed it to her without pressure, and sat on the grass several feet away. Elena joined him on the bench. It will take time, she murmured. She doesn't warm up quickly. I can wait, he replied, and he meant it. Oh, wait. The language of giraffes. During the second visit, Maya asked him a question. Just one. It was about the difference between cheetahs and leopards, something she had been studying in the book he brought her. Julian's heart hammered. He gave her the answer, careful not to sound too proud. On the fourth visit, she allowed him to push her on the swing. By the seventh, she was talking to him, as if he had always been there. She told him about her favorite animal, giraffes, her aversion to carrots, and how she always slept with a stuffed turtle named Blue. Julian listened as if her words were gold. Every small detail she offered felt like a treasure he hadn't earned. Elena watched everything. She saw the way Julian showed up again and again, never canceling, never complaining. He asked for nothing. He simply arrived on time, with something thoughtful to share. This wasn't just regret. It was effort. It was change. One day, it rained unexpectedly. They sat under the small park pavilion. Elena shivered slightly, and without a word, Julian took off his jacket and placed it over her shoulders. She tensed, but did not remove it. You're different, she said softly. I'm trying, he replied. I don't want to be the man I was. You have a long way to go, she said. I know, he said, but I'll walk every mile if it means I can be part of her world. 09. The new KPI. Consistency. That week, Maya ran toward him without waiting for Elena to call him over. She hugged his leg and said, "Hi." Just one word, casual and warm, as if he had been there all along. That night, Julian sat in his hotel suite and cried for the first time in over a decade. His world, once defined by quarterly reports, was being redefined. And for once, he didn't need a return on investment. He just wanted to be worthy. One evening, while Maya slept with her stuffed turtle and a worn copy of The Very Hungry Caterpillar by her side, Elena stepped out onto the porch. Julian was beside her, looking at the stars. "Do you think about that day?" she asked quietly. "Every day. You said I was in the way." "I was wrong," he said. "I was terrified. Not of you. Not of her. Of myself. I thought if I stayed, I would ruin everything. I ran from the version of me that wanted a family, the man I didn't know how to be." Elena felt a lump in her throat. "She still doesn't know," she said softly. "Who you are." "I know," he whispered, "and I won't rush it. I'll let her tell me when she's ready. I'll let you tell me." 10. The first crack. A glimpse of forgiveness. They stood there in the soft light of the porch. Elena looked at him and saw not only the man he was becoming, but the boy he once was. Desperate to prove his worth. Insecure about love. "I used to imagine what I would say if you ever came back," she said. "And it was always angry, always final. I would have deserved it. But that's not what I want anymore. She's happy now, and you are part of that. And I don't want to shatter something that is finally starting to feel whole." Julian didn't touch her. He didn't pressure her. He just said, "Thank you." Interactive question 3. Elena, with her complicated forgiveness, allowed Julian to stay, not out of residual love, but because he was part of Maya's happiness. Is the well-being of the children the only valid reason to allow a betrayer back into the family unit? Share your viewpoint now. A crucial moment. The wall is cracking. Subscribe and hit like. If you believe Julian has earned his place, the next scene is the moment Julian has been waiting for. 11. The title of Dad and the Silent Promise. Prepare for impact. This is the moment this entire journey has been worth. Don't forget to interact and share. The day Maya called him Dad was a quiet Sunday. There were no grand declarations, no crowds, just the soft hum of a peaceful afternoon, the smell of homemade cookies in Elena's small kitchen, and children's music playing softly. The three of them were sitting on the rug, surrounded by plastic animal figures. Maya, with her tiny fingers, was putting together a farm puzzle, and Julian was trying to guess which piece went where. She laughed at his silly guesses, then suddenly reached out, placed a giraffe in his palm, and said, "Here, Dad, he lives next to the elephant." She didn't even pause. Her mind had already moved on to organizing the rest of the zoo. But Julian gasped. His heart raced so hard, he felt like a wave had hit him. He had dreamed of this moment, but it came as children's moments often do. Unannounced, natural, and pure. And that made it more profound. Maya didn't notice. Elena, sitting nearby, looked up sharply, her eyes meeting his, and the emotion that passed between them was too complex for words. Surprise, fear, awe, and something deeper. Julian smiled, saying nothing, and gently placed the giraffe in its spot. 12. The silent recognition fodder. When Maya was asleep, Julian helped Elena wash the dishes. The kitchen silence was now one of teamwork, not distance. "She called you Dad today," Elena said, her voice low. He nodded. "I didn't want to make a big deal of it. I didn't want to scare her or make her feel like she had to say it again." "She meant it," Elena said. "I know," he whispered. "It's the most meaningful word anyone has ever said to me. Elena leaned against the counter. You have come a long way, Julian. So have you, he said, finally meeting her eyes. You carried everything alone. You were brave when I wasn't. I think about that all the time. I didn't have a choice, she said, her voice slightly clipped with the truth. I didn't have time to fall apart. I had her, and she needed me to be strong. Julian placed a gentle, wet hand over hers. I love you. I never stopped. And if there's even a small chance that I can build something real now, with her, with you, I won't leave again. I will spend the rest of my life proving it. Elena hesitated, then picked up the dishcloth and handed it to him. Then dry your hands and help me put away these plates. We'll take this step by step. And so they did. In the weeks that followed, they found a rhythm. Julian began to join them for more than just park visits. He learned to make smiley-faced chocolate chip pancakes, and he fixed the broken latch on Elena's kitchen cabinet. It wasn't grand, it wasn't dramatic, but it was real, and with every passing day, the bitterness, the fear, the protective shell around Elena's heart began to soften under the quiet constancy of Julian's presence. 13. The new destination. One night, while on the porch watching Maya chase fireflies, Elena gently rested her head on Julian's shoulder. He froze for a second, then wordlessly put his arm around her. I don't know what comes next, she said, but I'm willing to find out. Slowly, carefully. Julian's fingers curled around hers, strong and steady. I will never rush you. I will never leave again. Maya's third birthday arrived quietly, bathed in golden light. Julian arrived with a bouquet of wildflowers and a small wrapped gift. When Maya blew out the candles, she closed her eyes and whispered a wish. Then she looked at both of them and said, "Best birthday ever." Later, when Maya slept, Elena and Julian sat in the backyard. I know now that you and Maya were never an obstacle, Julian said, his voice quiet, but certain. You were the direction I should have been heading all along. All the success in the world means nothing without the two of you. Elena took his hand and held it tight. The most beautiful stories are the ones we never saw coming, Elena whispered. The ones built with broken pieces, held together by choice, by love, by finding the way home. Julian returned because success meant nothing without them. Is personal failure the only real motivation for change? Or do you believe the love for Maya was genuinely the driving force? Tell us your final conclusion on his redemption. The family has united. Subscribe and hit like. If you believe Julian's story is proof that it's possible to find your way home. Tuyệt vời. Tôi rất vui vì bạn vẫn muốn tiếp tục hành trình của gia đình Thorn Reyes. Mặc dù câu chuyện đã có một kết thúc đẹp và đầy hy vọng, nhưng chúng ta có thể tiếp tục bằng cách xây dựng tương lai chung của họ. Đặc biệt là khi Julian phải chính thức kết thúc cuộc sống cũ và công khai cam kết với cuộc sống mới. The Obstacle and the Path Home. Part 14. Closing the Door on Wall Street. The Unexpected Call. The Final Temptation. Attention, viewers. Julian has found his way home, but Wall Street won't let go that easily. His redemption faces one final test. Will he reject the ultimate lure of power and money, or will the cold call from his past fracture the fragile peace he's built? Hit like and subscribe to see his final choice. Several months passed. Julian and Elena were deeply immersed in co-parenting and a cautiously rekindled romance. Julian had started a small, remote consulting firm focused on ethical investment, working from a tiny desk in Elena's spare room. He was happier, but the constant background hum of his old life remained. One chilly morning, while Julian was making smiley-face pancakes, his old, rarely used New York cell phone rang. The display showed the number of Vance Global's CEO. He took the call outside. Hello, David. David. Julian, thank God. Listen, the new management team is sinking the firm. It's a complete collapse. The board is offering you a deal you can't refuse. Full control, an unprecedented bonus, and a clear path to becoming the youngest chairman in the firm's history. Your father's legacy is at stake. You need to come back." Julian felt a familiar rush, the adrenaline of power, the thrill of the impossible challenge. It was his greatest addiction calling him home. He looked through the window. Elena was laughing, teaching Maya how to flip a pancake, her face dusted with flour. He saw the genuine, uncomplicated joy in their small kitchen. "Thank you for the offer, David," Julian said, his voice measured. "But tell the board my legacy is no longer defined by stock prices. I'm busy building something real right here." He hung up, walked back inside, and quietly placed the New York phone in the blender, then crushed it with a single, satisfied press of the button. 15. The ultimate surrender. The proposal. That evening, after Maya was asleep, Julian found Elena sitting on the porch swing, watching the stars. "You crushed your phone," Elena observed, a knowing smile playing on her lips. "It was a relic," Julian said, sitting beside her. "It tried to tempt me with the one thing I learned to despise, the promise of a life without depth. I had to permanently cut the cord." He took her hand, his thumb tracing the lines on her palm. "I've spent my life making deals based on collateral and guarantees. But the best thing I ever had, I nearly lost because I demanded a guarantee of safety before I committed." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn object. It wasn't a diamond ring. It was a small, beautifully engraved silver compass. "This is my guarantee," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "It points north, to safety, to home. I want you to have it, because you were my true north when I was completely lost." He looked directly into her eyes. "Elena Reyes, you saved me from myself, and you gave me a purpose I never knew existed. Marry me, not because you need my protection, but because I need your direction. Marry me, and let's spend the rest of our lives making up for those 2 years." Elena looked at the compass, then at the man kneeling before her, a man who had traded an empire for a simple commitment. Tears welled in her eyes. "You said I was an obstacle, Julian. Do you understand what you're asking? I'm asking you to become my compass, my anchor, and my ultimate goal. I'm asking you to make me a man worthy of the title husband, a job that requires more courage than any CEO position." Elena smiled, a slow, radiant light in the darkness. "Yes, Julian Thorne, I will marry you, and we will keep going, step by step." 16. The legacy of the compass, a new beginning. Julian and Elena married 6 months later in a quiet ceremony at the Santa Fe courthouse, with Maya as their enthusiastic flower girl. There were no press, no former partners, just local friends from the pediatric clinic and the coffee shop. Julian sold his remaining shares in Vance Global, donating the majority to establish the Maya Initiative, a foundation dedicated to supporting single mothers pursuing education and entrepreneurship. He closed the door on his past, using his wealth to build Elena's dream of community support. Their home was built on the foundation of the 3 words Julian once failed to understand: love, vulnerability, and presence. Years later, Julian and Elena often sat on their porch swing, watching Maya, now a confident teenager, laugh with her friends. "Look at her," Julian would say, his voice full of gratitude. "She was my obstacle." "No," Elena would correct, leaning her head on his shoulder. "She was always your destiny. You just took the long way around." And in that long, complicated path home, Julian Thorne finally found the only return on investment that truly mattered. A complete, an honest one. Thank you for joining Julian and Elena on their long journey home. If this final act of commitment inspired you, please like this video and share the story. Comment below. Was the silver compass a better symbol of commitment than a diamond ring? Why? And of course, subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories of love and redemption. Tuyệt vời. Tôi rất vui vì bạn vẫn muốn tiếp tục khám phá cuộc sống của gia đình Thorn Reyes. Mặc dù câu chuyện đã kết thúc với một lời cầu hôn và một cam kết sâu sắc, chúng ta có thể thêm một chương cuối cùng, tập trung vào sự trưởng thành của Maya và di sản thực sự mà Julian và Elena đã xây dựng cùng nhau. The Obstacle and the Path Home. Final chapter. The Legacy of the Compass. The legacy is in the soil, a decade of consistency. Attention, family. The journey is complete, but the story of Julian and Elena is now a manual for life. If you believe in the power of the new generation to heal the past, hit like and subscribe. The final beautiful proof of their redemption is here. 10 years had passed since Julian and Elena's quiet wedding. They now lived in a beautiful adobe home nestled against the mountains outside Santa Fe. Julian's Maya initiative had grown into a national nonprofit, and Elena's clinic, La Esperanza, was a pillar of the community. Maya was now a confident, compassionate young woman of 13. She was the living testament to her parents' reconciliation, a blend of Julian's sharp intellect and Elena's profound empathy. One day, Julian and Maya were volunteering at a local community garden, pulling weeds under the intense New Mexico sun. Maya paused, resting her hands on the rich soil. "Dad?" Maya asked. "You talk about La Esperanza being Mom's legacy, but what about yours? Is it the Maya initiative?" Julian paused, leaning on his hoe. He looked at his hands, now calloused from gardening, not from signing papers. "The Maya initiative is a good result of my choice, sweetie, but it's not the legacy," Julian said, his voice soft. "My true legacy is not what I built with money, but what I rebuilt with time. It's the fact that I showed up every single Tuesday and Saturday for 2 years to earn the right to push you on a swing. It's the fact that your mom trusted me enough to give me this second chance." He pointed to the soil. "The legacy is in the ground we walk on, Maya. It's consistency. It's learning to value the slow growth of a plant over the fast profit of a stock." 18. The truth of the obstacle, a teenager's wisdom. Maya, who was now fully aware of the full, difficult history, including the ugly word obstacle, understood. One day, she was tasked with writing a biographical essay for school. She chose to write about her father's transformation. She approached Julian in his home office, a place now dominated by community proposals, not balance sheets. "Dad," she said, "I need the original quote, the one you told Mom." Julian recited it, his voice still catching slightly. "You're in the way of my objectives." Maya wrote it down. Then she wrote her thesis. "My father's greatest professional mistake was calling me an obstacle. His greatest human achievement was proving that an obstacle can become a destiny." When Julian read the essay, he couldn't speak. He simply pulled his daughter into a tight, grateful hug. She wasn't just his redemption. She was his wise counsel. 19. The new metric. The final vow. Years later, at a small ceremony honoring Elena's work at La Esperanza, Julian took the podium. He was no longer the imposing tycoon, but a man weathered by meaningful experience. He didn't speak about his wife's achievements. He spoke about his own failure. "The man I was measured success by the size of the company he acquired," Julian said, looking directly at Elena, his voice resonating with clarity. "Today I use a new metric, one I learned right here in Santa Fe." He paused, a profound smile spreading across his face. "My metric for success is the quiet peace in my wife's eyes when she falls asleep next to me, and the unconditional trust in my daughter's voice when she calls me Dad. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the only profit I'll ever need to see." Elena, wiping away a tear, raised her glass. He had not only returned home, he had redefined the very meaning of success for their entire generation. The saga is complete. Thank you for joining Julian and Elena on their long, beautiful path home. Their story is a powerful testament to the healing power of presence over presence. Comment below with the one word you would use to describe the legacy Julian and Elena built together. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more unforgettable emotional journeys. Tuyệt vời. Tôi rất vui vì bạn vẫn muốn tiếp tục khám phá câu chuyện đầy ý nghĩa này. The Obstacle and the Path Home. Ultimate Epilogue. The Letter from the Future. 20. A New Beginning. Maya's Departure. Attention, readers. The ultimate test of redemption isn't in the present. It's in the future. What does the man who ran away tell the man he became? This final chapter brings the story full circle. Hit like and subscribe for this beautiful conclusion. It was a late August morning, 17 years after the fateful day in the Santa Fe Park. Maya, now 20, was packing her bags for university. She was heading east, to an Ivy League school, the very world of ambition her father, Julian Thorne, had once worshipped and later abandoned. Julian stood in her doorway, watching his daughter, a confident, ethical young woman who wore her name, Maya, like a crown of purpose. She had truly become his destiny. "Ready, Dad?" she asked. Hoisting a heavy backpack, Julian smiled, a genuine, easy smile that was once foreign to his face. Ready. But remember, the goal isn't the grade. The goal is the person you become while you're getting the grade. 21. The Brass Key and the Final Wisdom. As they reached the car, Maya paused. She reached into her jeans pocket and pulled out a small, worn object. It was the silver compass Julian had used to propose to Elena, now attached to her keychain. "Mom gave this to me," Maya said. "She said it's your story." Julian felt a familiar lump in his throat. "I know the whole story, Dad," Maya continued, looking him straight in the eye. "About the obstacle and the running. I'm going to New York, to the heart of the ambition you were afraid of. But I won't run. Because you taught me that courage isn't found in staying, but in returning, and in the consistency of the choice." Julian hugged her tight, a long, silent hug that held all the love, regret, and pride of the last 2 decades. 22. The Letter to the Coward. Later that evening, the house was silent. Julian and Elena sat on the porch swing, watching the moon rise over the mountains. Elena handed Julian a worn sheet of paper. "Maya wrote this before she left," Elena whispered. It was a letter, addressed simply, to Julian Thorne, New York City, 2 years ago. Julian unfolded it, his hands trembling slightly, and read the words written with the clarity and wisdom of the daughter he had almost lost. "Dear Julian, I know you are sitting in your apartment right now, planning your exit. You think you are protecting yourself. You think she is an obstacle. You think running will secure your legacy. You are wrong. Your legacy is not in the stock exchange. Your legacy is in the small, chaotic, beautiful life you are about to walk away from. The woman you are leaving is the only thing real in your life. The child she carries is the only person who will ever teach you the true meaning of value. The next 2 years will be the loneliest, most miserable time of your life. You will try to fill the hollow ache with power, but it won't work. Don't wait for the park. Don't wait for the guilt. Go back now. Tell her you're terrified. Tell her you'll learn. Tell her you need her to show you the way. You are afraid of becoming a father, but trust me, you are going to be a great one. But you have to choose her now. Choose her before the coward in you. Stop running. Your home is waiting. Sincerely, your daughter, Maya, 23. The Final Vow. This legacy of honesty. Julian finished reading, tears streaming down his face. He looked at Elena, who was watching him with gentle love. "I wish I could send it back," he choked out. "You don't need to send it back, Julian," Elena said, taking his hand. "You lived the answer. You made the impossible return. You honored the promise of the girl in the letter. He pulled her close, kissing her deeply, gratefully. He had been a ruthless CEO, a coward, and a man lost in ambition. But now he was simply Elena's husband and Maya's father. He had learned that the final step of redemption wasn't in achieving a perfect ending, but in the constant, humble acceptance of the complicated, beautiful, and hard-won present. The saga is complete. The story of the obstacle that became destiny has ended. Thank you for accompanying Julian, Elena, and me on their entire journey. Comment below with your final reflection. What does the letter from the future prove about the true nature of love and regret? And of course, subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories.